Welcome to LifeHerStyle, a podcast for Christian women who are ready to live boldly for Christ in every season of life. I'm your host, Kari, pastor's wife, ordained minister, toddler mama, and truth-speaking friend. Whether you're navigating motherhood, ministry, marriage, or your God-given mission, you'll find inspiration rooted in scripture and stories that point your heart back to Jesus. Tune in each week as we explore faith-filled living through the stories of ordinary women doing extraordinary things for Christ. Because her style of life, it's set apart. Let's do life her style.
I did want to kind of move into a question and answer sort of thing, because realizing that, everybody's love story is kind of different, but there are people that are listening that maybe they're raising young adults that they want to be able to help their kids through, finding a partner and what to look for in that. And there's some people out there right now that are listening that are like, I'm not married, and that doesn't sound like my story. Or maybe they have broken relationships in their past. And so what do we do with that? We're getting close to Valentine's Day, and some people love it and some people loathe it. And so how can we speak into everyone's lives right now to encourage them, to equip them a little bit for their future? It's not going to look the same as ours, hopefully not, because that took years.
Hey,
It was a
yes.
years-long
No, I agree.
process. But hopefully something that we can share will help someone in their journey. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self about dating.
Marry her sooner.
I was hoping you would say that.
But no, seriously, I wish someone would have said that to me.
Like, what are you waiting for, dude?
Seriously. Now, maybe someone did, and I'm just, fuzzy on the memory or whatever, but I really do. There were so many things that I was, and part of that is my personality. I'm a pretty analytical person to
Yes.
begin with. I like to think through all the things before pulling the trigger, but just because, even if that is your personality, you can train yourself, you can develop yourself to do differently. And I wish I would have married you a lot sooner. I think that would have had, lots of benefits for us. We talk about the fact that we got married sort of later in our lives, so we have developed a lot of independence, and we had developed a lot of our personal preferences, and that meant we had a lot of work to do to merge our lives together. And had we done
Grown
that
together.
grown together, looking back, I feel like, man, what could we have done with that time? Everything happens in its time, and I praise the Lord, and I love our love story. But if I were talking to my younger self, that easily the advice I would be: don't be so afraid, don't be so twisted up, marry her and make your mistakes with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is more and more the advice that I find myself giving to younger guys in particular. Now, on the girl side, as a general, or on the lady side, the thing there is maybe wait a little more, because
you're so gung-ho.
Yeah, and it's easy to whitewash the red flags. There's a lot of conversation online these days about green flags and red flags and all that kind of stuff. But seriously, there's that. If you have that tendency to romanticize somebody, or think, well, I'll change him, or he'll change, or these kinds of things, that is unfortunately often not the case. Or if it is, it's after a whole lot of prayer and a whole lot of sacrifice and a whole lot of time and investment. And so, yeah, to most younger guys, I would say go sooner. And to most younger ladies, I would say wait a little longer.
Yeah.
And see.
Well, that's the thing too, is once someone shows up that checks all the boxes, that's what you were for me. So that's why that first conversation that we had, when you were like, no, I was like, well, now who's gonna do it? Who's gonna hit all the marks for me? Because I was getting into the later later years of my 20s. And, at that point, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of societal pressure, and even more than I was giving myself. And so, once I knew you and I knew who you were and I knew that I wanted that, then it was like, now what? Like, who else is out there that's gonna check all those boxes for me?
Well, and so there's two things there, particularly for those who maybe are older or uh, had something, lost something. First of all, hope is always alive
Mm,
in Christ. There's always the possibility of finding love or finding love again. But by the same token, Paul talks about this to the Corinthians, and he says, "Look, there is something special about singlehood,
mm,
in that it frees up your time and your energies to be devoted to Christ."
yeah,
And so whether you're single by choice or single by circumstance, uh, to find your fulfillment and your ultimate satisfaction and your joy in Christ, who really is supposed to be our greatest love anyway.
yeah,
I'm so glad that the Lord brought us together, but even this would be severely handicapped were it not for your love for Jesus
mm,
and my love for Jesus. And that's really the thing that brought us together in the first place, was our faith.
yeah,
Our faith was the foundation for our friendship, for our connection, and then ultimately for our
yeah,
relationship. And the Bible's pretty clear. If that faith is not shared, if that faith is not owned by each individual, yeah, thankfully God's common grace, you can find love, you can have
mm,
a good marriage, but there's a world of difference when it's a
yes,
marriage that's founded on Christ,
mm,
because it's in the difficult times and the hard times that faith is what keeps you
yeah.
united.
You have an anchor for your
Mhm.
relationship.
And so singleness really is a time to cultivate that.
Yeah,
And then, if you desire to be married, let it be a godly Christian marriage.
yeah. I wish I would have cultivated that more in the time that I was single because I was just so worried about getting to that next thing in a relationship, in a marriage or whatever, that I don't feel like I really cultivated my faith enough until after we were already married.
Yeah.
And, y- for me, that was still a beautiful thing. I could have been a lot deeper in my faith had I started sooner, but, that was something that you kind of came alongside of me with, which is what I wanted in the first place in a spouse, is somebody that would challenge me in my faith and, help me to move forward in it and not, me be the one that's like paving the way in our spiritual lives. And, that for me was, what I loved so much about being married to you.
Well, this is what a lot of people miss about marriage, including Christians who get married. Like, marriage, number one, was created by God.
Mm,
It was His idea. He's the one that came up with it, and that should be obvious enough, because there are so many human ideas out there that are so not marriage.
yeah,
Like, here are all the different ways we can couple up and be intimate and all this kind of stuff, friends with benefits, and that mess. But God's the one who came up with the idea of marriage, and for those that do get to experience it, yeah, there's benefits and there's pleasures and there's joys and all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, I believe, as you read through the scriptures, the reason that marriage exists is actually to make us holier.
yeah,
That two people who love Christ now come into union with one another in order to shape and sharpen and encourage one another into deeper faith, becoming more and more like Christ, and growing in holiness. And if you miss that part in Christian marriage, you're missing, I think, the ultimate goal. Because that's really the ultimate goal of life, and the ultimate goal of the Christian life is to glorify God, and yes, to enjoy Him forever.
yeah,
But we focus so much on that enjoying part.
It's
That
like
we
there's
forget.
other things you need to
Yeah,
be doing there.
yeah. We exist for God, and that means our marriage exists for Him too.
Yeah. What is your favorite memory of us as a couple?
Okay, pick one.
What's the first one that comes to your mind?
I'll tell you. Okay, the very first one that comes to my mind. You had moved to where I was living, and we went to a concert. It was an outdoor jazz festival,
Mm-hmm.
which I like jazz, you like
Mm-hmm.
jazz. We've been to the Blue Room and all that good stuff. But we were at this outdoor jazz festival, and I enjoyed that. But what I remember was we ran into someone from my job.
Yeah.
Older lady, not old. Love you, Pam. But I remember talking to her at the office like the next week or whatever, and she said, uh, talking about me, she was like, "You were just so happy. There's just joy in your eyes, you know." And the fact that it was so visible and so observable that someone would see that,
Yeah.
kind of feed that back. I'm like, yeah, I like that.
I remember her being there and thinking, I wonder how you felt about that. Because at that point, I hadn't met anybody that you worked with.
Oh, okay, well,
There wasn't a whole lot of people I had met just yet. And so it was like, how does he feel about like being seen out in public, you
yeah.
know, to get, because I mean, I feel like you're a fairly private person for the most part. And so in that phase of life, I was like, oh, he just went public, like
That's right. Let's go.
fully,
Let's go.
fully
Yeah.
public.
We got rivers are a theme for us. We have wonderful memories walking along
Mhm.
rivers. Obviously, our honeymoon, huge highlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even our wedding. I mean, we talk about this a lot that we had to come together, and it was getting ready the night before. We were in the basement of that church, and
Setting up for the
setting
reception.
up, and you were on one side giving directions, I was on another side giving directions. We'd meet in the middle to check in, and then I'd go over there and you went over there, and it was just when it flows. You and I don't always flow. Sometimes we're like we butt
Oil
up.
and water.
Yeah, but it's like when we're flowing together, I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing, and
We
people
we
kind of
have the
stop and they're like,
capacity to be a good
wow.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes we're hitting it on all marks, and sometimes like we got to recalibrate. You know,
true
it
story.
as is any couple's story. Here's the thing, like y- while we have this wonderful love story and a wonderful marriage, like it wasn't without some hard-fought spaces of time and, having to grow into that and even now still having times and spaces where we're transitioning in life or in ministry or whatever, and then just have to stop and be like, okay, we need to get on the same page here, you know.
And this is why um, dating is such a messed up thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're dating, you are constantly putting your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And that's great and all,
Mm-hmm.
but when you unite your life with somebody else, you're uniting with their pain
Yeah.
and with their baggage. And I'm not just talking psychologically and all that. Like, I'm huge about premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
But even our premarital counseling, as awesome as it was, it set up some good things, but
Mm-hmm.
we still had
We could
all
have gone a
kind.
lot deeper.
Yeah, yeah. And but that's also ultimately a part of it. That's why, along with writing our own vows, we took the traditional vows,
Mm-hmm.
because we made this commitment that, look, I'm marrying you, I'm marrying all of you. I'm marrying your past, your present, and your future. I'm marrying all the things that went wrong and all the things that are gonna go wrong, as well as the best of you.
Yes.
And so again, it's that commitment, it's that grounding in Christian faith, it's that willingness to say, all right, I may not like you right now, but I love you and we're going to figure this out.
Yeah. We have a big picture window in our living room
Mhm.
that stays open a good majority of the day. And I remember us counseling a couple that they had driven by one day and we were hugging each other like in the middle of the living room. They
Oh,
saw it and you'd kind of kiss me on the forehead and the woman was like, "Oh, see, like I want that." And I was like, "But you could have driven by on another day."
no, because the curtains are closed. What are you doing?
But a snapshot of another day,
Yeah.
another time, a
Yeah.
different experience could have shown something different. And it's like there are those highs and lows in every relationship. And this is where I think we failed at speaking to dating couples and married couples that it's like, listen, it's going to be hard sometimes. And you might not like each other for a little bit, but you have to keep choosing each other.
Not only that, look, this is a whole thing within the church. Um, and we don't have time to go down this road
Hmm.
because we're focused on relationships. But I just want to say, even within the church, we are becoming like Christ,
Hmm.
and that means it's not that's messy sometimes. And so we don't need to be afraid of each other's mess. We don't need to be hiding that mess. I mean, you don't have to broadcast it all over
Yeah.
the place, but there needs to be a sense of safety and a sense of grace mixed with truth, even within the church. Absolutely within a marriage, but even within the church, we're growing. We need to be growing together. And that means being honest. That means holding each other accountable.
Hmm.
That means giving each other some patience, but also saying, look, you know, I understand you're going through something right now, but we got to work this out because if this goes on much longer,
One of us is gonna
one of
break.
us, yeah,
I remember like getting married that first year.
I'm glad. I'm
And
glad you
then
remember that.
some days it's hard. But like people asking, "How's married life?" And I didn't want to lie, because that first year came with a lot of difficult growing pains where, like you had mentioned before, we both had very set ways we lived our day-to-day life, and now we've merged those things. We were living together. We had we were living and breathing basically the moments of our day in the same space. And, when it came down to setting up the home and the things that we wanted to do with our time and what time to go to bed and what time to, like these are things that we had had years of having solidified in our adulthood that then we merged together. And so people would be like, "How's married life?" And I'm like, "It's challenging," like it's wonderful and I love him. And there's a lot of things to grow through, especially when you're later in life and getting married after being, on your own for so long. And so it's like, I wasn't gonna lie, that it's like, oh, it's all rainbows and butterflies. Well, sometimes it is. And then sometimes it's like, I don't like that piece of artwork that you like so much.
I
That
knew it.
wagon wheel
I
coffee
knew it. I
table.
know. Oh yeah, the movie reference. No, the other thing though is it is you are always growing
Mhm.
in the sense that from one phase of life to the next, particularly talking about married couples, from one phase of life to the next. So there's never really a point where it's all in place and it's all just right. But as you move from one season to the next, from one challenge to the next, it's the building of trust
Mhm.
and the sense of hope. Well, we survived that.
Yeah.
And if we survived that, and that's kind of, we do this whole thing around AIM, and that's kind of anchors, investments, and memorials.
Mhm.
But that's kind of part of that is as you build that capacity from the past, it creates foundation for trust and hope for the future. If we survive that, surely we can
We can get
survive
through.
this next thing.
Yeah.
But from one thing to the next, whether you're a young couple, now you've got kids, job changes, parents start passing away, saving for retirement. Are we going to live here? Are we going to live there? Do we have it? There's always something throughout the life cycle of the marriage, again, comes
Yeah.
back to Christ, and it comes back to the kind of marriage you're building.
Yeah. What is the most helpful thing I do for you right now?
Oh, how long do we have?
As long as you want. Really, we live together, so. How long do you want to be awake tonight?
I appreciate that you have taken on homeschooling our daughter, which is something I definitely want to be more involved with. But you have taken ownership of that. You're doing that regularly, and that's something we've both decided is that homeschooling is the route that we want to go
Yeah.
with our children. Uh, so that's been tremendous. Obviously, you carry a big mental load and physical load in terms of preparing the meals, planning the meals. We're partners in ministry, and so being able to talk with you, get your insights, your opinions, your pushback is helpful for me.
My pushback.
Yes, not always comfortable, and sometimes I don't always agree, and I don't always land the same place you do, but it's part of the process,
Yeah.
an important part of the process. You know? And you have always been, for me, someone who you like experiences and you like trying things. You may not necessarily be an early adopter per se, but you often push me out of my routines. Of course, I introduce you to a lot of new
Yeah.
things too, but where maybe I want to stay home or this kind of thing, you're like, we should go to that city. We should go do this thing. We should go do that.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've got your well-worn ruts too. But look, the whole reason we ended up in New York City, another great memory,
Yeah.
was because you had that desire and you kind of got on that kick. And I'm like, well, I want to make that happen for you. And you made it happen for us in your own way, but
Mhm.
my piece of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the willingness, like you had to have been willing to go. Because even though I could find some loopholes to get us there on a
Mm,
very limited income, very limited budget, yeah, it's the willingness to be like, okay, this is what we're going to spend our time on and,
yeah.
our effort and our energy.
You have a default desire for us to be together.
Yeah.
So even, for example, even if I was willing to go travel by myself, you're like, I want to go.
I'm going with you.
I'm going with you. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you want to be with me and you want to share those experiences and make those memories together.
Yeah. That happened very early on because, like, our reconnection when you came to be with me for that job interview, it was surprising to me that when it was time for you to leave and go back home, I was a puddle of tears. Like, I didn't want him to leave. And that surprised me because I'm not like a super emotional person, first of all. I don't even know that you knew that in those moments. It's like,
Well, no, let's be clear. All I've known of you
it's
is an
emotional.
emotional
But
person.
name any other person in
Yeah.
my life, that was close to me, and they would say, like, yeah, she's not like a crier or anything. Newsflash,
Newsflash.
I can be. But then, like, every time I would come to visit, or you would come visit me, the parting part was so difficult because it was like, no, I want to be with this person, not be leaving this person. And so, yeah, like, anywhere you go, I go. That's the deal. And so very seldom is it you go off without me or I go off without you. And if we have to, it's terrible. I don't like it.
You forced me to plan, which is to say that I'm an organized person,
Mm,
but I often like to go with the flow. We'll figure things out. I have the parameters in my head, but you really, what are we going to do at this
yeah.
time?
I
What's going
want to
to be
know
the
10
next thing?
steps
What day
ahead.
are we going to do? Well, I'm
Yeah.
always thinking ahead, but you think ahead in a different way, and it challenges me to think that way. Uh, Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to hit on the fact too, because you brought up me homeschooling our daughter
Hmm.
and cooking all the meals and stuff. And I will say those things were not in my long-term plan when I was younger. I was a achiever of sorts when I
Hmm.
was younger, so I thought I would be a career person. And I honestly didn't think I would be home to be making the meals all the time, and here I am kind of living the opposite of the way that I thought I was going to, and simultaneously not being upset about that. Like it's like as I've grown in our marriage, it's like this was the natural path. We didn't want to put our daughter in situations where she would be learning things without us there to guide her to the right things. And so it was like this is what we're doing. And so, that seemed like the right path for me. And if I'm home, might as well be making us food, you know. Um, but that's just to say, like, your ideal thought about what the future is as a married person may be different, you know?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully couples discuss it. Again, premarital counseling, I
Hmm.
can't encourage enough with the
Yeah,
right kind of premarital counselor. Hopefully, you discuss your values, you discuss your intentions, and how you'd like things to look, and you have some. Either you're clear about your common ground, or you're clear about what compromises you intend to make. But life, number one, life, but more than that, God will move you in different directions and in ways you didn't anticipate.
yeah,
And so the question is, are you willing to flex? Are you
yeah.
willing to
And
make
to
those
go
adjustments?
there,
Are
yeah,
you willing to do what is best for the family, for the marriage,
yeah,
or not?
yeah. Because it would have been a big problem had I been like, no, I'm not going to do this. Okay, well, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
But I think because we've grown together in that way, we share those values. And so
Mhm.
it's like, okay, we need to work together now to figure out how we're going to carry that forward in our family. And this is how, we've done it. And obviously that's going to shift and change as the years go on, and we transition into new phases of life. But that's what marriage is it's flexing. When life changes, you have to figure out how to like navigate the new terrain. And sometimes you have to get new tires. Like that's how it works. So what advice would you give to our kids about dating and about marriage later on?
Oh, now see, that's different because our daughter is not gonna even start dating until what is it they say? Jesus was 33 and never dated, so if it was good enough for Jesus, it's
Oh,
good
wow.
enough for you. No,
Wow.
we have already started, and you've crafted a prayer. I pray over her. You pray. Any of our children, we would say the same thing, but over this daughter, you pray that the Lord is already preparing a
Hmm.
good, godly Christian man, and that they will come together and serve the Lord together. And so that's just the biggest piece of advice I would have for anyone's children is desire God most, love Jesus first, best, and always, and then let that love for Christ guide you to someone who loves Christ, and hopefully as much, if not more,
Yeah.
than you do.
Yeah.
Because and that doesn't guarantee. Look, marrying a Christian doesn't guarantee an
Yeah.
easy or an always happy life, but it guarantees that you've got these shared
Yeah.
values, the most important value, and that's what guides you both into happiness and through challenge.
Yeah. It's a more
Yeah.
solid foundation.
Yeah, someone that loves Christ and that truly loves you.
Mhm.
That's look for that person.
Yeah. So I'm sure that we have some single mothers
Hmm.
that are listening or watching now because we're on YouTube, people.
Hey, you
So if
too.
you're listening and you want to watch and see our couch conversation, then you can get on YouTube. But what would you say to single mothers that are, they're raising their children, they're hopefully bringing them to church. They're navigating the dating world. Like, what is your advice to them, like as pastor? If you were to sit down with one of them as their pastor, what would you tell them?
I think the first thought that comes to mind, and this is just from talking with single mothers and ministering to single mothers together in our churches and so forth, um, regardless of the circumstances, uh, Jesus loves you,
Mhm.
and you are not more broken than anybody else.
Mhm.
The reality is we're all broken.
Mhm.
That's what it means to be born into sin, and your circumstances don't make you more broken than someone else or less uh, worthy of love than somebody else. I would say thank you for continuing to raise your child. And no doubt that is difficult and hard and wonderful and all these kinds of things, but thank you. And then I would remind you that that Christ is all that we need. Wherever those gaps are, He's the one that fills in those empty spaces.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the beautiful thing about the love of Christ and the love of God in our lives. And then, some practical advice is to lean on the church.
Mhm.
Let be committed to your church, the church that God has led you to, because the church also becomes the physical embodiment of Christ.
Yeah.
And now your child not only has you, but your child has spiritual mothers and spiritual fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters that they can form bonds and form relationships with, and to a certain extent allow that, encourage that. To the extent that you're comfortable, let your child bond with good role models and good influences in the church. And then, yes, to the extent that you want uh, to be married, to have a good godly man in your home, don't settle. Don't settle for less. Don't just because of loneliness or logistics.
Yeah.
Don't let that trump true love and love for Christ.
Yeah.
Those are the top thoughts off the top of my head.
Yeah. I like those. Well, since you are a guest on the show this
Oh,
time,
okay.
I'm gonna ask you my every interview question. I know the answer to this already, but they
Okay.
don't. So you go to a coffee shop to meet a friend. What is your order?
Oh, that's easy. In fact, we went to a
Oh,
coffee shop to meet friends just the other day, shall not be named.
yeah.
But I ordered my usual, and I noticed it wasn't on the board, and I said something to you, and you're like, "Well, surely. I
Yeah,
mean, come
it's a
on."
coffee shop.
And they were like, "No, we don't have those here." Folks, it's a cappuccino.
Simple thing.
It's a
It's simple.
cappuccino. Yeah, a simple thing. But that's all right. Every coffee shop has their own way of doing things.
Yeah.
God bless you. But no, that's pretty much. Now, the Italians would say a cappuccino is a morning drink. You're not supposed to drink it after 11. My backup is a cortado
Yeah.
or Gibraltar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all in the same family. So
So when you came to be with me for my job interview,
true.
we went to Starbucks, and I had never in my life had a chai latte.
Yeah, that's true. I was going through a chai tea latte
And
phase.
so you had gotten a chai latte, and I was like, I can't remember if I ordered it and then you ordered it, or you ordered it and then I
No,
ordered
I
it.
ordered it and
Okay,
you
we
ordered
both
it.
got a chai
Yeah.
latte, and then I drank it, and I was like, this is really good. But it wasn't even coffee. Like, it was not coffee. So you did have a chai latte thing going for a while, but yeah, now
Well,
it's
no,
the
you asked my
cappuccino.
coffee order. I like
Yeah,
teas and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff, but yeah.
They didn't even have a Gibraltar the other day
No, they
or
didn't have no.
cortado.
Nope, none of that.
It really wasn't a coffee shop then, in my opinion.
Well,
We're not dropping any names or
we're not dropping
anything,
any
but
names. It's okay.
yeah. But I'm so glad that you came on to do this with me, and
Happy to help.
thank you.
You're welcome.
You've been very supportive about the whole podcasting thing.
I am proud of you, but more than that, you have a lot to be proud of for yourself. Because ultimately, what you've done is you've been obedient
Mm,
to the leading of the Lord and to the Holy Spirit. And you see people responding to that. You see those people who are responding not just to your voice, but what I love about what you're doing is you're giving a place and a platform for other
yeah,
women who are in all walks of life and yet who are bringing their faith into those experiences.
yeah,
And I just think that's so cool.
yeah.
And I'm excited to see who else you have on this season.
Thank you. I've got big plans, so
Mm.
stick around. If you haven't, subscribe to the YouTube channel or subscribe on Spotify or iTunes. I'm looking down at myself. I
Look
need to
out
be
for the
looking at
camera.
the camera. But just subscribe, and I think that you'll find a lot of these stories will inspire you and encourage you, and hopefully give you a little bit of equipping as you hear kind of how people have navigated, how these women have navigated their hardships, but then, their triumphs and how they've moved into seasons of ministry through the things that they have gone through. And so hopefully through our story, these last couple of episodes, you'll hear that, if you're not in a relationship, or maybe you're in a marriage that you're struggling through right now, like there is hope. And if you lean into the Lord and allow the Lord to help you grow as a person, your marriage can improve. Because a lot of times, we think it's like, well, if they improve in this way or that way or this way, then our marriage will do well. No, the work has to start from within. And so hopefully this will be an encouragement to you, whatever situation you're in right now, coming into the Valentine season, that if we put God first, all the things that, He has for us will follow, and it'll look the way He needs it to look. And that'll be the best way. I feel like God led us to this point in our marriage. God led us to this point in our life, and it was by His divine providence and guidance. And, we could have messed it up a time or two, and yet because we followed Him, first and foremost, that's why we're here now. And so hopefully that will help someone out there today know that if you follow Him first, everything else will fall into place. And that's the most important part. So have a great Valentine's Day. And until next time, see ya.
Thanks so much for tuning in to LifeHerStyle. If today's episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Want to keep the conversation going? Come hang out with me on Instagram at LifeHerStyle. I'd love to connect with you there. And for deeper devotionals, resources, and encouragement straight to your inbox, join the LifeHerStyle community on Substack at lifeherstyle.substack.com. Until next time, remember, your life, your walk, your style. Do it all for the glory of God.
Kiss me.